I've been using the Sony ZV-E1 as my main YouTube camera for about 5 months now, and I absolutely love it. In my opinion, this camera is nearly perfect for a YouTuber like me who wants high image quality in a compact form factor. I think it's worth the $2,200 price tag, and I don't regret buying this fantastic camera. Now, I don't want to bore you too much with the specs because you probably know them all, but in terms of video specs, this camera is an A7S III with enhanced AI functions, but in a tiny form factor similar to the ZV-E10. The compact form factor was one of the main reasons I chose this camera. Before this, I had the Sony A7 IV, which wasn't too big to be honest, but I always liked the compact design of the ZV-E10, and as soon as Sony released the ZV-E1, I knew it would be perfect for me. For a full frame camera, this one is tiny, weighing only 480 grams and being only slightly larger than my ZV-E10. Because of this, I can take this camera everywhere and mount it anywhere. It easily fits in my 3-liter Peak Design sling or any other bag, and I can easily mount it on any ultralight tripod or a gimbal, which is a plus for me because I prefer to keep my gear as light as possible. However, this compact form factor has some disadvantages, such as poor grip, which can be easily fixed by buying a grip cage, fewer customizable buttons, which I don't really care about, and overheating. Now, overheating is an important one with this camera, and you should think really carefully what you intend to do with it before buying it, since it can be a deal breaker for some. I, for example, shoot all of my YouTube videos with this camera in 4K 25p up to 40-50 minutes at a time in a room temperature of roughly 24-25 degrees Celsius and have never had any overheating issues. If you plan to shoot in 4K 50-60p for long periods of time, especially outdoors, you will definitely face some overheating issues. Based on my tests, it can record for about 25 minutes at 25 degrees Celsius before overheating when shooting in 4K 50p. However, for my use case, this isn't a problem because I only take quick bursts of shots in 4K 50, 100p, which doesn't cause the camera to overheat at all. I think that if you're planning to buy this camera, it's essential to consider how you intend to use it for the best results. If you plan to use it for vlogging or YouTube content like me, it will be perfect, but I would not recommend this camera for someone who shoots sports events, weddings, or commercials. Unless you attach a mini cooling fan to the back of it to help with overheating, which doesn't guarantee the best results. Anyhow, let's move on to image quality, which is the second reason I love this camera so much. The ZV-E1 offers the same fantastic image quality as the A7S III/FX3, featuring the same 12 megapixel sensor that has a wide dynamic range and incredible OLED performance. It can record at up to 4K 120p with 10-bit colors and does not have any image crop in all modes except when shooting in 4K 120p, where there is a minimal 10% crop. I really can't complain about the image quality of this camera, especially when you consider how small and compact it is. I shoot all of my videos in S-Log3 to maximize the dynamic range, and I am never disappointed. Thanks to the 10-bit colors, I can color grade the footage however I like, and everything looks just awesome. The low-light performance is also stunning. I can switch the camera to the second base ISO of 12,800, which is more than enough to properly expose almost any low light scene, even when using some f4 lenses. Overall, I don't think you'll be disappointed with this camera's image quality. I also use it for photos, mainly for YouTube thumbnails, and it works great. It may not be my top choice for general photography, but I think when it comes to creating social media content and YouTube thumbnails, 12 megapixels is more than enough to deliver sharp results. Moving on to stabilization, which is another reason I love this camera so much. The ZV-E1 features the new dynamic steady shot mode, which is a significant improvement over active steady shot. It does result in a 30% crop compared to the 20% with active steady shot, but it delivers fantastic results. In certain situations, it can even replace the need for a gimbal. I really like this new stabilization mode, and I use it a lot, especially when I'm shooting handheld B-roll. But keep in mind, it only works up to 4K 60p. If you'll be shooting in 4K 120p often, you might still want to use a gimbal. In addition to dynamic steady shot, the ZV-E1 has a new feature called framing stabilizer, which essentially functions like Apple's center stage. It digitally crops in and tracks the subject around the frame. It works exceptionally well, especially with wide-angle lenses. But I don't really use this feature because I think it's kind of gimmicky. Anyhow, the last thing I like about this camera is its dependable autofocus performance. I can't think of a single time that this camera's autofocus has let me down in the last 5 months. It's really responsive and customizable. You can adjust the speed and sensitivity and reliably track humans, animals, birds, insects, cars, and planes. There's also the new breathing compensation option, which eliminates focus breathing. It works flawlessly with my Sony 20mm and 35mm f1.8 lenses, but it only functions with native Sony lenses and has a crop of about 10%. I really can't complain about the autofocus performance and features of this camera. It's pretty much perfect for a solo creator like me. All in all, I'm really enjoying using this camera and value it a lot because it's so small but shoots such high quality footage. Personally, I think the $2,200 price tag is acceptable, but only if you value the compact form factor. Otherwise, you might want to check into other camera brands that are less expensive. Also, I would recommend this camera mostly to people who make online content like myself. It's not ideal for professional work, but it's an excellent content creation machine. It's very compact and lightweight, offering high image quality, excellent stabilization performance, reliable autofocus, good battery life, and a wide selection of lenses from the E-mount ecosystem. However, I don't want to portray this camera as perfect. It does have its downsides, including poor overheating performance in certain environments, poor grip, lack of a viewfinder, lack of a joystick, no proper separation between video and photo settings, a micro HDMI port, and only one SD card slot. For me, these features are not deal breakers because I prioritize the compact form factor the most, and I understand that it comes with certain trade-offs in other areas. Thanks for watching.